Hello, Kelly here with Kelly's Tarot Life, transforming your world one card at a time. This January, I'm taking part in Ethony's 31 Days of Tarot 2020 challenge. And every day there's a new prompt, and this is the prompt for day 22. My top 5 tarot decks for 2010 to 2019. So over the last decade, what are my top 5 tarot decks? So there's a little bit of overlap from day 2, my top 5 tarot decks from last year. So, but these are decks that just really have been very important to me over the last years. And the first one is the Moonchild-Tarot. And this deck it's a collage deck. And at first, I really didn't think that I was going to connect with it. It was very fantastical. The colors were kind of washed out. The images were more kind of space agey and modern than I usually liked. But once I started working with this deck, it really just grew on me. The images are very simplistic, but there's so much in each one. And I think it's because the figures are of real people. And I believe that the people are actual models in the pictures. And so it just gives the cards such life and feeling, just like the Lover's card. And it's a gorgeous card. And this is the Eight of Swords with the woman, and here's the swords all around her, and she's got this beautiful veil on. And the Emperor, he's in his, just kind of blending in with the surroundings, like an emperor would. So it's really a deck that I didn't think that I was going to like at first, and it kind of took me a while to get into it and start working with it. But once I used it for some readings, and once I did some study of it, I really enjoyed using it and think it's a great deck. The next is the Wildwood Tarot. And this deck has its own kind of little system going. And so, and it has the words down at the bottom, the keywords down at the bottom. And it has, all the minor arcana cards. The suits are all different. They are named differently. And a lot of the major arcana cards are named differently, like Magician is the Shaman. So it has its own system, and it's a little bit intimidating, or was to me, a little bit intimidating to use at first, because it has this own system, and it has different meanings from the meanings that I had learned, and but it's a very beautiful earthy deck and very nature-based. The court cards are all animals, and like the King of Arrows is the Kingfisher, and the artwork is just gorgeous, and like this one is the blasted oak instead of the tower. So it's a deck, and again, it's one that I really didn't think I was going to connect to, and it took me a while to kind of just get used to it, use it in some readings, really study the cards, look at the cards, and really connect with how the whole deck was set up. And once I did that, and once I kind of let myself just intuitively feel into the cards, it was much easier for me to use. And it's one that I like to bring out and use when I feel like I want to connect with nature. And I used it a lot in December, especially around the winter solstice. It just reminds me of that winter time and being cozy and warm and but also at the same time seeing the danger that's coming in the cold months. So it has that kind of dual aspect to it, to the cards, and so I really enjoy working with it. The next one is the Green Witch Tarot, which of course is, if you've watched the other videos, this is one of my very favorite decks. I love working with this deck, and I love working with it for journey work, for shadow work, for magic, for rituals, for just about everything. It's one of the first decks that I ever bought, and it's just great. I mean, it's just a wonderful deck to work with, especially if you have leanings in the witchcraft area and magical area. So it's a great deck to work with. Definitely one of my favorites of all time. And this is the Druidcraft Tarot. And this one, again, I mean, it's very similar to the Wildwood Tarot, and in that it has its own, not its own system, but it's very distinctive, very Celtic, very pagan looking, and it's one of those decks that just, let's see if I can get it over here so it's not glaring. It's one of those decks that I just love to work with. I love the images. I love the cards. I love the big cards, the thick card stock. I mean, look at that Ace of Cups. I mean, isn't that just beautiful? I mean, it's just like my cup is overflowing, and it's one that I come back to again and again and again and again and again. And just, have it kind of out all the time. It never goes, on a shelf. It stays out and beside me so that I can use it. So that is the Druidcraft Tarot. And then the last deck, and this is a deck that, this was the very first deck that I bought, ever. This is my very first tarot deck, and this is Tarot Made Easy by Barbara Moore. And it was at Barnes & Noble, and I was at the time going through a really hard time, spiritually, emotionally, mentally, and I was looking at lots of different, let's get it where it's not, there. I was going through a lot of things emotionally, mentally, and was trying a lot of different things as a result of what I was going through. And one of the things I did was I just happened to go in Barnes & Noble one day, and this deck was on the shelf. And it was a deck with a really thick guidebook, really big guidebook. And so I decided that I would take it home and read it. And within 2 days, I was hooked. I loved the cards. I loved the stories. I was a formal English teacher, loved to read, and the stories of the cards and everything just made so much sense to me. And so it was so easy to fall in love with tarot through this deck. So this is one of the decks that is just near and dear to my heart. I would never want to be without it. And it's one that I don't really use for readings a lot, but I use it for almost everything else. I use it for classes, I use it for study, use it for all kinds of things. So those are my top 5 tarot decks for 2010 to 2019. I will put the original link to Ethony's post in the description below, and also put a link to how to get a reading with me on my website down below also. And I thank you for stopping by.